Welcome to today's meeting of the February 2nd, 2023 Finance Committee. I am Councilman Britt Moore here at City Hall, along with Mayor Pro Tem Monica Peters and Councilman Victor Jones. We do have a quorum. I think Mr. Councilman Holmes had a work conflict, will not be able to join us today, but we will call the meeting to order and we will get started. Our first item on today's agenda is item 2023-049. Mr. Tyler Barrier is going to speak to us concerning some contract items on the electrical utilities.
Hey, good morning.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I don't have the agenda. Is this for the pedestals or transformers?
This is for the Wesco distribution on the pedestal warehouse stock.
200 amp pedestals.
So, good afternoon. We solicited bids for 200 amp pedestals. There's a picture there. I couldn't bring them in like I try to sometimes. But these are large switching cabinets where we are able to switch circuits around for underground utilities. These are utilized in underground applications only. Bidding out 12 units, and these are not slated for a particular project. This is just warehouse stock.
Any comments or questions? Curiosity is for 12 units, did you say? And how many do you usually keep in stock, and how many do you change out in a year?
So we don't use a lot. The last time we bid these out was in October of 2020, and price was about half of what they are now. I know that's not what you asked, but generally I would say 6 to 8 in a year's time, depending on projects. There's more projects coming along, undergrounding, Cabane Avenue. Some of these units will be utilized there. So,
Well, that certainly seems to be the way people want to go. If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-049. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, 2023-050. This is to the 1,000 kVA transformers.
So this is for the purchase of 4 1,000 kVA transformers. These are 277 480 voltage, so these would be used in a large commercial or industrial application. GE is the vendor, but also, like with the pedestals, this is not for a specific project, but just warehouse stock. 1,000 kVA unit is a pretty large unit. When we went and visited the Showplace West a few weeks ago, it's about the size of that. So just to give you some scale about what it would be.
Comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve item 2023-050. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Tyler. Next, we're going to hear from Greg Venable, Transportation Director, on item 2023-051, contract for transportation engineering and planning.
Thank you, Hal.
Thank you.
Some adjustments to some of the language that was in the agenda.
Right.
Thank you.
So yes, this is for selection of on-call consultants to provide engineering and transportation planning services for the Transportation Department. In December of 2022, we put out an RFQ. We got 19 firms that solicited or that sent in proposals, and we have selected 5. We went through a selection process. Transportation staff selected 5 firms to be on our own call. We have Kimley Horn and Associates, Stantec Consulting, STV Engineers, Dewberry Engineers, and Alfred Benesh and Company. The firms we offered a master agreement for services for transportation planning and engineering, as well as some roadway design and other civil work. The department will have the opportunity to select from the master list for consultants from the qualified list, and each assigned project will be defined by a task order and incorporated a scope of service and a negotiated fee. There is no immediate impact, budget impact for this, so the consultants, once they're selected, then there will be, a fee will be discussed at that time, and potentially have to come back to you guys for whatever that service that will be at that time. It is a recommendation that you approve our 5 selected consultants.
I recognize some of the names, so a lot of these we've done work with before.
Yeah, so there are actually 2 that are on our current list,
Right.
Kimley Horn Associates and STV. Both of those are current on call, and then we have 3 new this time.
Any other comments or questions?
Motion approved.
I'll second that. So there's a motion and a second for approval of item 2023-051. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
And Greg will present to us item 2023-052, municipal agreement with the NCDOT.
Thank you. This is a municipal agreement, NCDOT, for TAP funds for a sidewalk project along University Parkway. This project was submitted several years ago by the High Point MPO on behalf of the city to receive state funding. It has been awarded funding, and it's scheduled for construction this year, actually. The budgeting impact, the cost of the project to NCDOT is $288,000, which is 80%. The city's responsibility would be the remaining 20%, or $72,000. We're requesting approval of this item. And there is a map, I think, in your packet, I believe, there. So
There is. When do they hope to start?
hopefully this summer. We'll have to, all the plans are in review right now with NCDOT. As soon as we get those back, we can hopefully put it out to bid this summer. We have several other projects as well, so maybe we can put them all out at the same time this summer as we go forward, so.
2 or 3 days to be finished?
Yeah, yeah, maybe 4.
I got it. Any other comments or questions? I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-052.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, 2023-053, is another municipal agreement. Greg?
Sure, this is the same thing. This is, again, is for TAP funds with NCDOT to construct a sidewalk project along Eastchester Drive. Again, this project was submitted by the MPO several years ago, and it is funded with DOT, and scheduled construction is 2023. This project is a little more costly. It is 80% cost of $504,000 to NCDOT, and then the remaining 20% of $126,000 will be ours. Again, this funds will come from the General Capital Project Fund, and I just recommend approval. We have to answer any questions.
Comments or questions? I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-053.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Sir.
Appreciate it.
Next, we'll hear from Sushil Nepal, our Planning and Development Director, on item 2023-054.
Good evening. The agenda in front of you tonight is to consider approving an entry-level planner position within the Planning and Development Department. Just for your reference, what you have on the screen is how the department is made up today. We have 13 full-time staff within the 3 divisions within the department. So planning services is what provides the long-range planning. In the middle, your development services is more permitting, plan reviews, and then administrative services. You can see the position requested to be added is to support your daily plan review and permitting function within the department. We do share some administrative function with inspection services and local code enforcement staff as well. So just a little bit of background. There are a few slides after this that shows some data for you, but over the years, we've seen some increased project load that staff had to do reviews. There's a lot of public inquiries about what's happening in High Point, questions about signs, questions about adding anything to commercial or residential property. So we're getting a lot of inquiries over the past few years. What that has done is added to the service frequency, and in turn negatively impact the kind of service we provide. Longer plan reviews, In turn, we hear a lot of customer dissatisfaction, meaning there are complaints coming that we're not providing timely reviews on projects, and oftentimes you hear that, manager's office as well. So by adding this staff, we're trying to take away some of the daily calls and questions that the senior staff is taking on, and allow this junior planner to take on that role. We did have a planner position back in 2021 that was supporting that function, and as the restructure happened, that function was absorbed within the inspection services to do more inspection and permitting. So that created that void as well. So if you look at the numbers from last July 2020 to December of 2022, you can see the total number of projects for that 6-month period on each column. They've kind of increased from 88 back in 2020 to now, if you look at July through December 2022, there's 161. In terms of those subdivisions, encroachment, site plan reviews that I mentioned earlier, we have 2 full-time staff, what we call the case managers. So everything that comes within City of High Point, it comes through the planning department. Even though there is other department role in terms of reviews, we are your intake department, and we serve as the case managers. Right now, we have 2 full-time staff doing that function. Now, if you divide that number to the TRC, which is, again, composed of several departments, we got planning, transportation, electric, water, sewer, so all of those staff make up that TRC committee reviews. Our goal, as you can see on the screen, for that first submittal, when somebody submits that first application, we have a goal of 90% review, but that obviously over the years has not been met. So you can see that impact over the years in terms of plan review time as well. If you break that down to just the planning department, there are some functions that reviews do not go to the TRC but are performed by the planning staff. It's similar impact if you break down. So back in 2020, we were hitting the goal, but then as we came to 2022, that number has decreased as well. So you can see those impacts over the years. Other than the plan reviews, like what I mentioned earlier, the sign permit, we get a lot of questions about the sign permits. Code confirmation, meaning somebody want to know what they can do with their land or what kind of businesses they can have in their property. So those are code confirmation requests. Right now, because we don't have that capacity to answer calls, our senior staff time is taken away from the plan reviews, and we're doing a lot of this sign permit and code confirmation requests. We're hoping by adding this position, we can share some of that workload to free up that time for plan reviews and maintain that level of service we have committed to our residents. So this was included in your packet as well. So budget impacts, we had some vacancy savings in 2023, so we'll be funded by those savings, and for budget years moving forward, we'll be adding those into the recommended budget for your consideration. With that, we are requesting for your consideration to approve the planner position and associated funding. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'll just say that if we've got the vacancy savings, and this is one of those things that I feel like it'll speed up a lot of the developments already in High Point. So, I mean, we'll make the money back up just from tax revenue as we speed things along a little bit faster.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, this is great. It's clear to see that there is a huge need in our planning department, which is great news. And I see that it's not going to stop anytime soon. So, no, I think it would be great for you to be able to have the staff that you need to be able to do things in a timely manner, efficient.
If approved, when do you hope to hire the person? What does that process look like for you, the time frame, and do they have to have certain certifications, or is it not for this type position?
No certification needed. I mean, if it comes with it, that's great, but we're not requiring it. As soon as it is approved, we'll go out for recruitment. There is some challenge with recruiting right now, but we're going to hit the market right away.
And I'm going to make a motion here in a second to approve, but I appreciate the metrics that you showed us, and I would recommend that this type of thing be brought to us to see how we're doing, every quarter
Sure.
or something, to hopefully we'll see that we're making the progress that we're intending to.
Happy to do that.
With that, if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-054.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, sir. Next item is 2023-041. And here comes Mr. Robbie Stones, our Public Service Director, to talk about some sodium hydroxide.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So this is for the purchase of caustic soda or sodium hydroxide. This is used at our water and our wastewater treatment plant for pH adjustment, alkalinity addition. We're requesting to piggyback on a contract that was actually opened by the City of Winston-Salem for Forsyth County Utilities Commission back in November of 2022. They opened this bid, and and their low bidder was $958 per dry ton. We do have funding available for this, so we're requesting approval to award this to Ultron Solutions for the total amount of $340,090. I did look back in 2017. This item was $482 per ton. 2019 it was $626. 2022 $748. So you can see how those chemical prices continue to grow and impact our budgets.
Inflation's hurting us everywhere.
Yes.
Any comments or questions? Other comments or questions? I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-041.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item, 2023-042, concerning a water pump station force main extension. Robbie?
So this is change order number 2 for Baker Underground, Inc., and for the extension of a 16-inch force main from Eastchester Drive to White's Mill Road, about 730 feet in length. This is, when we were doing this project, we did discover that there was severely deteriorating ductile iron pipe at the intersection of Eastchester Drive. With further inspection, we decided that this needed to be replaced all the way back near the White's Mill Road intersection there, and this will be done by horizontal directional drilling there. This will tie into the existing new 16-inch pipe that was installed as part of the Skeet Club Road widening project. The change order number 1 was for $26,000. That was for additional work required by Duke Power for Duke Power conflicts within our work area. We do have funds available for this project. We are requesting that council approve this change order to Baker Underground in the amount of $455,546.74 and a 70-day extension. This will bring the total contract amount up to just over $3.2 million.
Comments, questions? I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-042.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 2023-048. This has a contract to our East Side wastewater treatment plant. Robbie?
This is for the sole source purchase of a recirculating pump for the dissolved air flotation thickener number 3. The current one that we have in place is about 20 years old and has failed. We had originally looked at this to rebuild that, but in looking at the purchase price for the parts and materials to rebuild it, it was more expensive to rebuild it than just to purchase a new pump. So we're asking to purchase a new pump for this particular area here. We do have funds that are available. We're requesting that Clearwater Inc. be approved as a sole source vendor for the replacement of the circulating pump for $39,900.
I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-048. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 2023-045. This has to do with our environmental services. Robbie?
So we're looking to purchase some software from Rubicon Software Company for environmental services waste collection. This software comes with many benefits. Some of those are listed out in the bullet points here. So for overseeing collection progress for each truck, so we can see the total stops that truck's made, the number of collections that truck has completed, and then the remaining stops on that route. We can look at the driver uploaded issues such as pictures that they may take. They may say that the cart's not out or vehicles blocking the collection of that cart, which oftentimes we get calls and saying, you didn't pick up my collection. And right now, as we have it, if a driver didn't physically take a picture or notify somebody, we're going back out and making that collections. We're just, saying that the customer is accurate. We can upload the photos. We can look at location and collection verification. We can track the vehicles and set up alerts for drivers. So if there's backdoor pickup or there's a special item for that address, we can put those in there. And also there's a routing and efficiency measure within this program. It does come with cameras, so there's automatic pictures that are being taken, but the driver does have the ability to take additional pictures if needed as well. We do view that this is going to increase efficiency and help us to better route our operations and just be more efficient throughout the overall progress. We do have funding that was already set aside in this current budget year for this. We are recommending that we award this to Rubicon Software for 3 years. The first year is $90,937.50, and then the contract cost for year 2 and year 3 is $67,500 each, for a total cost of $225,937.50. There's some attachments that just shows you some of the screenshots that are available. We didn't put any pictures in there, but we have tested this product and seen some benefits from it just through the testing.
Robbie, I just wanted to say and/or ask, just as we did with Mr. Nepal, the city is a service organization.
Right.
So we're out to improve our efficiency, our effectiveness, our cost, and all that all the time.
Right.
Do you, in this, you think it's going to improve routing and efficiency? Do you have a metric by which you can measure 120 days down the road and say, yeah, this has made us better?
Sure. I think, right now we know the various routes and the pickups, the number of collections that are on those routes. And we're continuing to grow. I know planning is seeing plans come in left and right with these larger subdivisions. So as we continue to add these subdivisions, we may have to shift those routes and rebalance those routes. Mm-hmm. So as we continue to do that, one of my goals is I don't necessarily want to add, if I can help it, add trucks and employees, but can we shift things around? Can we continue to balance this out so that we can continue to provide this high level of service?
Right.
I think there's other metrics and things that we can look at as far as bulk item collections, things like that can also help us be more efficient as well. So,
How about coming back to us,
Yes, sir.
point down the road and update us back to this and how we're doing?
we'll do it.
Councilman Holmes just texted me. He had 2 questions for you. First question was, can you track the carbon footprint of each truck? I'm not sure what he means by that, but figured I'd ask.
I have not seen that in this particular software, but we can definitely inquire about that.
I guess it would be, because I know with my fleet, based on when they refuel and mileage or whatever, I get a monthly report of the fuel efficiency of the vehicle, which we can compare against what the computer of that vehicle says that it's doing, but you actually know how many miles you ran and how many gallons you used. So that might be what it's referred to.
Okay.
The other question he just asked us was, will it suggest the best routes using the data?
Yes, and that's one of the benefits of this. So a few years ago, we actually hired a consultant to come in and help us with our routing. And so that is already part of this software. So we can, at any point, we can say, all right, we know that we've grown in this portion of the city or that portion, relook at our routes and let it rerun those routes and suggest or provide those new routes for us based on the equipment that we have. So yes, it will.
I don't know if this would be a security issue or not, but I mean, have they explored or other cities ever explore, like Amazon will tell you, your package is down the street, around the corner type thing. Is there would that be an option where someone could go in there and see that the truck that's coming to my street, because I know a lot of times I forget to put the toter down in the street and I'm rushing down there in the rain in my boxers to make sure that thing gets picked up, whatever. Sorry for the visual.
Just remember, these trucks are going to have cameras on them, so.
Right. But in all seriousness, is that a potential possible thing so somebody could go in there? Because I'll usually go to my neighbors and shake his to see if it's empty, then I know I missed it. Otherwise, could you see if the trash truck has come by your home yet, possibly?
I think that's definitely a possibility. It may be confusing to non-municipal users when they see that, because those trucks are specifically going up the street and then turning around, coming back down, maybe traversing across town, whether it's to get to their location or to get to landfill. So it could create some confusion too. So, but I think that is a possibility. It's something we can definitely discuss internally.
It'd almost be like a checkbox, like it's been to this house, this house, this house. I don't know if that's from an IT, my old background of IT, I think it could be done to where
Right.
you can see if yours has been picked up yet somehow.
Right.
Even if it's 2 years from now, we get to that point. But I could see that being a cool application on the trash side and on the recycle side, because I know often the recycle guys come a lot earlier in my neighborhood than the trash guys do, or whatever.
Right.
So, I don't know, just some questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll look at that.
Well, that was interesting. Councilman Jones, I might recommend that you don't go shake your neighbor's while you're in your boxers. Any other comments or questions here?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve. I'll make the second for item 2023-045. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Robbie, before you leave, on your department question, I'm getting several calls, and I know it's been a challenging, wet couple of months. How are our leaf collection trucks? Are they all in order at this point? Are we staffed? And if it'll ever quit raining, maybe they can get the rest of them up?
Rain has been the biggest impact this year.
Yep.
So yes, and we do have multiple folks that are trained for this. We actually reached out to other divisions and have trained some folks too. Because of the rain, we have our staff that operates these trucks typically just work 4 days a week. So what we've been doing is they've been coming in on the 5th day, and then sometimes on the 6th day on Saturday when we have a dry weekend, which seems rare lately, but we do have extra staff trained and are coming in and running. Trucks, majority of the trucks are up and running. Fleet's doing a great job helping us with that. It's just the normal wear and tear, so it seems like it's very common to have a couple down, but not typically down for a lengthy period of time, but for a few days at least. Some of them may be, a week or two.
Are you able to get the parts? Has that been a problem on some of the repairs?
Parts can be a problem, but they've not been as much of a problem as they have been in the past.
Thank you, sir.
I want to say thank you, because I'll tell you, every now and then somebody is like, we have these onesie twosie events, and I've had some people email me just in the past week, but I'll send Robbie an email to your apartment or something like that, and within a day or two it's already addressed or whatever. So if people do have a situation where their particular house or a particular street or something, you guys have always been amazing about making sure that gets taken care of as quickly as possible. So appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Next item, we're going to hear from Nina Wilson, our Community Development Director, and it's item 2023-047, contract amendment concerning community housing solutions.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This is a contract amendment for Community Housing Solutions for the Cedro Affordable Housing Project. We are looking to increase the contract by $246,553.56 to add the construction of an additional unit at 506 Rolling Green Drive. And this will bring the total number of units under the contract to 7, and the contract total to $1,733,442.12. And the reason that we're having to do this is that of the original 6 lots that were conveyed in January, they discovered that one of the lots, when the contractor went out to have the lot staked, that there is a berm that is placed too far inside the lot. So basically, the back part of the house would actually be staked on the berm. So engineering has met with the general contractor and with our staff out there to see what we need to do as far as some additional grading for that lot to make sure that it's a buildable lot. And we wanted to be able to keep them on the project schedule so that they complete the 6 units. That's basically what they have budgeted for. And so that's why we wanted to go ahead and just provide this additional lot at this time. Because we had already published the notice and everything for the conveyance, we couldn't just swap out lots because everything had been done. So we just wanted to add this additional lot. And if I could also add on the first 6 lots, they advertised 3 of them just to kind of test the market to see whether or not the interest was still there. And within 3 weeks, we have 2 contracts on those for the first 3 that they were looking to start. So it appears that there is still interest and a need for this affordable housing out there in the market. And there are sufficient funds in the current year's budget. This will be federal home funds. And so we're asking for the approval of the contract amendment.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-047.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you,
Thank
Ms. Wilson.
you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Wilson, if I could just say, I don't think I've formally been able to congratulate you on your position as the Director of Community Housing. I've worked with you earlier on years ago, and you're always, do such a great job, and well-deserved, and congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well done. Next, we'll hear from Assistant City Manager Eric Almedo concerning item 2023-046. This is I don't know if you want to present it all at one time or if we just go one up, but there's 3 different items within this, and it will require 3 separate motions. So however you want to present.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just as a reminder, a little background, the city was awarded $22.7 million in American Rescue Plan funds. Last year, City Council has allocated in 2 separate actions a total of $8.862 million. So that leaves a balance of, unallocated balance of a little bit over $13.8 million. What we're asking you today is to allocate funds for 4 specific projects. 3 of these projects were ones that we've had recent successful federal grants for, and so these would be additional funds to complete out these projects. So the 4 projects are the homeless day shelter. We're requesting $2 million in ARPA funds. The Foxwood Meadows alternate access project, which, as you know, is largely complete, and so that amount is $990,000. The shared use commercial kitchen project, $2 million, and upfits for the 300 Oak Street project of $3 million. So the total of these projects, these 4 projects, is $7,990,000. And if those are approved, we would have a remaining balance of ARPA funds of a little bit over $5.8 million. And so we're asking that you approve those projects to be funded with ARPA funds, and we're also asking for you to approve a community application process. As you know, we've received a lot of interest from different community groups for these funds, and we would like to be able to go ahead and have a process where they can apply so that we can get this money out to the community to use for different projects. One thing that we are also asking is that you put a dollar amount to that so that the community groups know if they have a $2 million project and we only have $1 million available that you've allocated, that we don't make them go through that process knowing that we don't have enough money to award them. So we want to be respectful of the effort it does take to apply for these funds. We would follow a process similar to what we currently do with the outside agency process, and a timeline that we've laid out here that would allow a review process and to get this included as part of the approvals, as part of the FY24 budget, which will be voted on by City Council in June. So as you said, there are 3 different actions here. The first one is to ask to approve a community application process and an amount to, a not to exceed amount for the outside, or for the agencies that we're funding. The second one is a grant project ordinance amendment, and the third one is just a budget ordinance allocating the funds for those 4 specific projects. Be happy to take any questions.
You spoke of it would follow a similar process to our outside agency funding. So if that's the case, once this is rolled out, you will have a deadline, and at the end of that deadline, that will come to finance for discussion and then on the council, or will it?
It would either come to the finance committee or to a specially appointed committee of council, depending on what council decides.
Okay.
And then go to the full council for a record, or for.
I'm comfortable handling it at the finance committee. I think the 4 of us could vet it and then present it to the full council with our recommendations.
Okay. And then you had a not to exceed amount. Was that discussed, or is that to be discussed?
That is to be discussed. You know, knowing that we have an available balance of $5.8 million. Obviously, we can't exceed that, but if there's some amount that, that you all feel comfortable allocating, just to give, again, to give those community agencies an idea of how much money is being allocated.
So upon approval of this, though, then how soon do you need the amount that we agree to?
We would like an amount before we make this a public, before we send out the applications.
Okay,
That would be
so
a
we
part
can
of the-
approve these steps and get back to you very quickly on an amount. Is that correct?
Upon adoption would be preferable, yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm clear about amount, because how will we know the amount until we get the applications? So what am I
Like a
missing?
cap, I think. Is it like a cap?
Correct.
Yeah, but won't the cap depend on the project, or is it just a overall cap?
Is it a cap per project or a total cap?
It would be a total cap. My recommendation would be for, if y'all are comfortable with the process, is for us to go ahead and approve the process. I do think that we would need to have another conversation to figure out what is that number. Do you all want to allocate the full 5.8 million that we have remaining to serve for the committee application process? Or are there other council initiatives that we need to evaluate to determine whether or not that portion may need to come out of what's remaining? And then we would have some amount that's less than the 5.8 million. And the reason I say that is there was some conversation about having a portion of our ARPA funds to support like a neighborhood project in some way, but we hadn't settled on what that amount may be. So I do think that as a group, you all need to see those other projects that might be left on the table before you just say $5.8 million is what we may have available for the community application process. And we could either do that by having a conversation at our next finance committee, or we could do that by having it as part of a special meeting that includes the full council to determine what that amount needs to be for the community application process.
I have another question. So let's just say hypothetically, we cap it at a certain amount, and then staff looks at maybe some of the goals out of their treat and sees something that they would recommend that would kind of fit perfectly. So would it be better for us to cap it under what we think in case that should happen? I'm just trying to be real clear.
I think that could be part of the conversation that we have. We've tried to keep a running list of projects that have come in with kind of some placeholder amounts. We've shared that. I think the last time we shared that was back in October or so. We can bring that list, and that was keeping in mind some of the goals and priorities that council was telling us are coming on. There are always new things that are coming in, but we also realize with the timing of when some of these funds need to be spent, there are some agencies that have allocations coming from other places that they need to get started. So if the city's going to allocate some portion of those funds, we want to at least get the process started. But it could be that you all decide to reserve some portion of this 5.8 for other priorities that may come up from the city council that you all haven't thought about or haven't come to light yet.
Okay. And that being said, I just want to add, and I've told pretty much everyone here before, but, we've got a really strong staff, and you guys are out there pounding it every day, so sometimes you may directly see a need, and I really trust you guys' opinion, and I just want to make sure that we honor that. We've got a great team, so.
And we're getting a good handle on project priorities through our departments because we're doing our legislative updates and our legislative requests right now as well, both at the state level and the federal level. So we'll have a good idea of project priorities that are coming through our department that I think can help inform the decision of council as well. And we can share, we'll be more than happy to share that.
I would like to make one more point or suggestion, and to my colleagues here. There's a time element to this, and so going back to our comments about efficiencies and stuff. So I think the discussion on the cap should be, whether it's in a special meeting or what it is, I think it should involve the full council.
I agree.
So we can come together and get it done, and then not have, back and forth over different days or different emails or whatever.
We can look at, I know we are going to have, well, we can look at the agenda that we have set for the second meeting in February. And it may be that we can have a special meeting or a work session ahead of that meeting where we can talk about the allocation.
Okay. Anything else concerning this item before I go into the three separate motions?
I would just say, and I'm fuzzy on the process, but I would say that and I think what I hear you saying is we just table that part of this until we bring that to the.
Well, that's my understanding. We can approve these three separate motions, and then all of that's set in place, and then we have time to discuss the amount that we want, and then it kind of gets plugged back in. We're not approving an amount today, we're approving the process.
Okay. And will we have to decide that Monday? Because I think there's some due diligence that needs to happen
No.
first. Okay.
You won't have to decide the amount on Monday. What we'll do is come back, we'll look at the schedule for the 20th to see if we can have a work session with the full council where we can look at all the projects and determine an amount at that time. And as long as we know the amount, when we roll the application process out, we'll publicize the amount of the application process. And so that's not happening right now.
Okay.
How long do you anticipate the process to be before you cut it off?
We have, and Eric can correct me if I have a misunderstanding with this, but we would like to have the applications out in March and give people at least kind of that 30 to 45-day window to respond. So applications would be due back in mid-April, and that would give roughly a month or more for council to evaluate those applications and have it passed as part of the budget process in June. So if we can get applications out sometime in March, that gives our agencies enough time to be able to respond and get those back in by mid-April.
Okay. Everybody good? Ready to go? All right. Well, I'm going to make a first motion. It's a motion to approve the community application process for the American Rescue Plan Act funds as outlined in agenda item 2023-046.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. The next motion is to approve the grant project ordinance amendment for the use of ARPA funds for government services. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. The third motion is to approve the budget ordinance amendment for the homeless day shelter, the Foxwood Meadows alternate access project, and the shared use commercial kitchen and 300 Oak Street upfits that total $7,999,000.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Sandy, thank you. Let's see, that was what Greg gave us. I appreciate everybody's time. Is there any questions? Robbie, it was good to see you, and we'll see you back in April. You've used up your allotment. If there's nothing else to come before council, finance today, then I'll adjourn the meeting. All right.
Thank you.